But let me move on to the Labour MP, Samantha Niblett. She has launched a campaign called Yes, Sex Please, We're British. You might have read about it, arguing that sex education shouldn't end when we leave school, but continue throughout our lives. She wants adults to feel more able to talk about our sexual well-being. As part of the campaign, she's planning on displaying sex toys in Parliament, arguing they're health products rather than something shameful. But the campaign has sparked some criticism, it's fair to say. Samantha Niblett, MP for South Derbyshire, welcome.
Thank you very much. Thanks for having me on.
So, tell me what you're trying to achieve with the Summer of Sex campaign.
So in the main, it is to take away shame, guilt and embarrassment around talking about sex so that we can do two things essentially. One is to help people feel better connected and informed and have satisfying sex lives, whether that's on their own or with other people, but also if they don't want to have sex, that should also carry no shame, guilt and embarrassment. And then the other one is where we get rid of shame, guilt and embarrassment, we make it much harder for perpetrators of sexual abuse and violence to do what they do.
Of course, which ties in somewhat with what we've just been speaking about with Dominic. But first to the adult sex education or lifelong education you talk about, where would that take place? That's what I was wondering when I was reading about it.
I mean, it's a great question. So the whole purpose of the Summer of Sex part of the campaign is for me to continue to go on a massive learning curve to understand what's working well at the moment, what needs to improve and how we're going to get there. Everything I learn will then help shape the debate speech that I give on lifelong sex education, because I secured a debate on the topic in the autumn which had cross-party support. But just to give you a bit of an idea of some of the things that have already come up, I was talking to, or my team have been talking to, I'm due to have a conversation with a chap called Paul Ogden, who's a senior advisor, public health within the local government organisation. And he was talking about that there's been a vast reduction in the amount of money that goes towards sexual education. And actually what we're seeing is people are living longer since men have had access to things like Viagra to help with erectile dysfunction. We have also seen an increase in sexual infections, sexually transmitted infections in older years, because once you're through the menopause, you think, I don't need to use contraception anymore. I won't get pregnant. But as a direct result, we're even seeing an increase in syphilis in heterosexual women that's up 4.8% in 2025. So where we will access this education, great question. I think one of the things that has also become really apparent as well is that there are some people that are even going through things like cancer treatment, that when they then speak to their doctor about sex and the impact it's had on their health physically and mentally, I've had some people tell me that the doctor almost laughed, like, you've had cancer, you're alive. Like, why are you worried about your sex life? And so when you have got GPs that don't talk about sex either, when you have got people who are in their 60s, 70s, 80s not even being asked if they are sexually active, and therefore opportunity to realise or establish whether they've got a STI or if something that's presenting as something but is something else because they've not been asked the question, they're being sort of... it's being assumed they're not sexually active.
So you want to put it on the front burner.
Yeah.
One way you're doing that is displaying a number of sex toys and sex education aids in Parliament. Many people have asked why. You've partnered with sex toy manufacturers as part of this campaign. John Lewis helped host your campaign launch. I think it was paid for by the company Coco de Mer. And there was pushback, to say the least. How do you understand it?
So it's really important to call out that Coco de Mer is owned by a woman, so I will always back female-owned businesses. And also she does a huge amount of work on FGM, female genital mutilation. So that's one of the reasons I chose to work with Lucy of Coco de Mer. She's been hugely supportive and focuses on female pleasure. In terms of the event in Parliament, I said I was going to do an event in which there would be sex toys. It's not a sex toy expo, it is not a sex toy exhibition. What it's going to be is an event where we'll talk about lifelong sex education. In my mind, it is a series of different speakers, and there will be sex toys to see, as well as other aids to help talk about and take away the shame, guilt and embarrassment associated with them, because people are still giggling when you mention the word sex toy.
Or is it for publicity?
I think anything that helps get the campaign coverage is not a bad thing. I have been criticised for the way I've gone about launching the campaign. But if I want to take shame, guilt and embarrassment away from talking about sex, then I had to talk about it. And actually, the fact that some people have felt a bit squeamish about it has kind of proven the point, really, for the need for the campaign. Sex toys are something that bring people a huge amount of pleasure. John Lewis actually mentioned that in the last year, they've seen a 22% increase on sales of lifestyle devices, as they call them. And so I think the more people that feel comfortable to buy sex toys that aid pleasure and joy is a good thing.
Some might say, why are you inviting commercial brands to benefit from a public health campaign, which it is really a sexual health campaign?
It is a sexual health campaign, but also it's a good way to spread the message. I think what John Lewis has certainly done is, as a great British trusted brand, is helped elevate the campaign. And also, MPs do this all the time. So we're always hosting commercial organisations within Parliament. Events can only happen in Parliament if an MP or a peer sponsors them. So, we'll have Sainsbury's and Asda and a whole manner of commercial organisations that support the work that we do.
This is Women's Hour. As you mentioned, it was reported that you left the Parliamentary Labour Party's women's WhatsApp group over criticisms posted there. Is that true? And were you surprised not to have more support perhaps from all your female colleagues?
So I didn't leave. I just stopped sort of saying much. It's a funny thing, and there are cliques within the Labour Party. Of course there are. What I found slightly upsetting is that people that are critical have not said anything to me at all, but they've taken to social media to do it. And I think sometimes if you're somebody who says you care about women and girls, then wouldn't it be good to have a conversation with somebody that you are clearly misunderstanding their project? But I've not had that, so yeah.
And with that, just in our last question, you have linked this to tackling violence against women and girls. What is the evidence that something like this could open conversations and lessen violence?
Well, firstly, I'd flip that on its head, really. If anyone can tell me how shame, guilt and embarrassment helps anyone who is a survivor of domestic abuse, then I would love to hear it. And there have been several studies, including one from UNESCO that came out in 2018 and was updated in 2023, that pointed out that to help end gender-based violence, we should absolutely be having comprehensive sex education.
Samantha Niblett, MP for South Derbyshire, thank you so much for joining us during the Summer of Sex. Yes, Sex Please, We're British is the campaign. Thanks for coming in to join us here on Women's Hour today.